Zach is with us in Houston. Hi, Zach. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are y'all today?
Better than we deserve. What's up?
Awesome. I got a question for both of y'all. I am looking for advice, so it is solicited.
He's been listening.
It was a great segment, by the way. For my living situation, I am in between either buying a home or getting an apartment. With this housing market the way it is, I don't know if I should jump on the bandwagon and try to outbid somebody like others I've seen been doing, or if I should just wait till it cools off and go from there.
How much do you have saved?
I have $65,000 saved in an account. Then I also have $140 in investments, thanks to the Smart Investor Pro program. So thank you, Dave, and your team.
Cool. The investments are in retirement accounts like Roth and so on?
Yes, mutual funds, some retirement stuff I rolled into an IRA.
But it's all in some kind of a retirement, or is some of it in just miscellaneous mutual funds?
Both, mostly in mutual funds.
Okay, I'm going to try one more time because I'm still confused. It should all be in mutual funds, but
okay.
Is it not in Roth and IRAs of some kind?
I'm sorry, it is Roth.
Okay, all of that, it should be. I was thinking it was. Okay, so you don't have anything that you can cash out of investments without retirement penalties, right?
Incorrect. I have about 50 of that I put cash towards that I could pull out whenever I wanted.
Okay, that's not in a Roth IRA or not in an IRA of any kind.
Okay.
Is that what you're saying?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, then I would use that 50 and I would use this 65 together for your down payment. I want to put as much down on this house that does not cash out retirement to put down. Now,
okay.
Here's the thing. And you're out of debt and you have your emergency fund, right?
The only debt I have is about $17,000 towards a truck.
Well, you have to pay that off before we can have this discussion.
Okay.
So when you get off the phone, go pay that off.
Okay.
Then we're going to take the what's remaining with you're at about $100,000 roughly to put down on a house then, between the 50
okay.
and the 50, 65 minus 17.
And you've got an emergency fund?
The 65 includes that emergency fund.
Oh my gosh, so we don't have that either. Okay. All right, so we got to break that out. So your 3 to 6 months of expenses is set aside, and you've got 48,000 of the 65 left because we just paid your truck off, and you finish your emergency fund. Because we do not recommend buying a house till you're debt free and have the emergency fund. So that's where we're trying to get you to.
Okay.
Which you can be there with what you have. You just need to think about it differently and allocate it differently and not use that towards your down payment is what we're saying.
Exactly. And so let's just say we put $20,000 in emergency fund just for the fun of it. Okay.
Okay.
So out of 65 minus 17 minus 20, that's going to leave you 28 there. 50 in investments that's not in retirement funds of any kind would be 78 that you've got for a down payment on a house with a fully funded emergency fund and no truck payment. You with me?
Yes, sir.
That's where we would take you to. And then if you want to go buy a house, that's fine. But what you want to avoid is the land of stupid and crazy. And most of what's going on out there right now is the land of stupid and crazy. So you just want to go looking at houses, and if you can buy one and not feel like you were a nut job when you bought it, then go ahead and buy it, right? There's nothing to say you can't buy in this market, but what you don't want to do is get caught up in this thing where you're paying $150,000 more for a house than it's worth because a whole bunch of goobs lined up on the sidewalk and had an auction. Right?
Okay. Yes,
so,
sir.
you go make an offer on a house, and if you don't get it, that's fine. And you just don't feel the pressure, and you don't get house fever, and you wander around and kind of take your time. And if you can sneak up on one, fine. Or if you get frustrated with the whole process and want to just wait, that's okay too. But what you're saying is, I don't want to participate in crazy, and I'm agreeing with you.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that doesn't mean you can't find somebody to sell a house in Houston, Texas. It's possible. And the market has cooled in the last 30 days over what it was in most markets. It was just about 30 days ago was probably the apex. And it was the first time since we've kept records in the real estate world that are accessible, that over half of the houses that sold for more than asking price. And that was 60 days ago. and it's gone down since then. And so it's still crazy. Still crazy, but it's not anywhere near as crazy as it was 2 months ago.
I got a question, Dave, for all the people listening right now that are in that position where they're either buying I guess mostly probably buying their first home, maybe buying, a different house or moving. How do you discern, am I being a nut job or not? Like, because I think a lot of people, especially someone, that like Zach, that he's buying his first home, what is reasonable? What is too much? Because we've talked before about, the demand dictates the price. And so someone's willing to pay it. This is the new value. This is the new price point. If someone's listening right now and they want to buy a house, how do they discern, okay, this is a normal, competitive, good thing to offer, and this is now getting into the land of crazy? Do you have any type of parameters to help people discern that? Because this is so scary for a lot of people right now.
Well, I mean, okay, number one, anytime you're doing something new, buying a house you never bought before, it's going to feel a little scary.
Sure.
Whatever you do.
Yeah.
That's not the kind of scary I'm talking about. But I think most of us know when we're out of control, in a frenzied buying mode.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a manic thing, like a manic depressive, like a bipolar thing. And we all have that little thing. I mean, I know when I have bought stuff when there was nothing going to keep me from buying it. I was like an addict. You know what I mean? And I think if if you're in that gear, you need to stop and back away. And it may not even be the price. It may just be a spiritual thing that you're not supposed to do that right now. Because if you're getting in that manic gear, in that gear where nothing can keep me from my housing fix, like you're a freaking addict or something, you got house fever.
Yeah.
And that's when these people are going, that's when they're going to wake up with regret on the back of their tongue. They're going to wake up with a financial hangover having bought the house. And it's not necessarily, you paid 22% more. There's not a formula
There's not
like
a number
that.
to it. Okay.
But you kind of know that you're out of control. I mean, I can even remember going in freaking Costco, and there's too much stuff in the buggy.
Yeah.
I'm just out of control.
Yeah.
And you're tripped a gear there that's not just, okay, this is a systematic, methodical, reasonable, wise purchase.
So you're saying more check in with yourself. It's less about the house and the price than it is like what's going on in you.
Because I don't think there is a formula on the house or the price.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if you go way up over the value, the asking price, and any comps in the area, and you're going to pay 40% more than it's ever appraised for before, you're probably in the stupid land. I mean,
and how can you even be excited about that? Because you're just the one that paid more. Like it's like yeah, you got it, but you're also just the highest bidder.
People are doing it.
I know.
And it usually has to do with they're moving from a very expensive market to a less expensive market, so they perceive value there that's not there.
Right.
So
like California people coming to Nashville. I mean, we see that a ton. Yeah.
Yeah, you move out of you move out of Silicon Valley and you move to Abilene, Texas. My God, you can buy half the town.
Yeah.
With when you sold your house.
Yeah.
And so, but that doesn't mean you should.
Right.
That doesn't mean it's a good buy. It doesn't mean you're not going to be able to resell it after you do that. But the real estate prices are just so different that it emotionally just lets you get out of control.
Yeah.
And so you've got to use just some methodical, okay, here's what the house appraises for with comps. The market's really hot, so it's probably worth a little bit more than that. Really? I mean, it really might appraise because there's a heat on the thing, supply and demand, but it's not worth 34% more.
Yeah, gotcha.
I mean, we're not going to take a $500,000 house and pay $750 for it and call that wise.
Right.
That appraised a month ago for $500.
Right.
We're not in hyperinflation here.
Yes. So it's a range you're kind of looking at.
That's just your brain going into addict mode, and you've got house fever.
Yeah.
And you gotta just, we all can do it. I can do it. I can sense myself doing it. And I have to just go, whoa, I'm managing God's money here. I got to report to him how I'm doing this, and he's not going to like my attitude. I got to fix this.